Peace of Mind, the fourth studio album from Iron Maiden, released back in 1983, 1 year later after The Number of the Beast. I will have to admit, the first couple listens I did not respect and appreciate this album as much as I do currently now. So in this review, I'm going to talk a little bit about my original thoughts and then talk about, of course, my current thoughts and the thoughts that I generally have for this album currently now throughout the review, but I do want to say a couple things about what my original thoughts were. So anyways, I'm Chainsaw. This is my review of Peace of Mind. So after coming off of The Number of the Beast, I was expecting Peace of Mind to basically progress in a more heavier route, maybe a more faster route, because The Number of the Beast had a lot of very fast songs and very fast sections within songs. Because the only song I heard off this album before I actually went into Peace of Mind was The Trooper. So all the other songs besides The Trooper was brand new to me. And I was kind of surprised. And my original thoughts is that this progression it's good. It's a decent progression from The Number of the Beast, but not a progression I expected, and I was kind of disappointed. But after listening a couple more times and really just listening to the lyrical content and understanding the musical aspects of the album and just listening to everything and trying to forget about my original thoughts about, okay, they're going to go in this direction, right? Because The Trooper, it's a fast, heavy song. The rest of the album is going to be similar to that. In a sense, yes, but in a sense, no. But after I got out of that thought and that thought process of, okay, they're going to go in this direction, I understand why, in some cases, why the band decided to go in this direction. And the direction I'm talking about is that they're going to go in the direction they feel is more suitable at the time. They're not going to try to recapture the magic in a bottle or the idea of trying to make another album as heavy and as big as The Number of the Beast, because if they do that and they try to go in that route, it's not going to go over well, because fans are not going to appreciate it, and they're not going to like it, because in a sense they're just trying to redo their biggest album to date at that point. So this progression is a little bit different. They're not trying too many new things, but they're taking songs in directions you're not really expecting at first, and once you're understanding the progression of these songs and the transitions and the sections they throw in to kind of switch up the song in a sense, that you respect it more, at least for what I did. I started to respect these songs more. There are still a couple of sections and one particular song I'm not really fond of, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to give this album a bad rating for those sections in this one particular song. It's just something that I noticed that I wasn't particularly catching on, even though the more and more I listen to this album, the more and more I respect and enjoy this album because of what it provides. It has a lot of great lyrical content and a lot of great vocal work from Bruce Dickinson. Nicko McBrain is here, which I have not mentioned so far within the review. As we all know, Clive Burr left the band shortly after The Number of the Beast, and we have Nicko McBrain, which that's a big thing. His drumming style and the way that he was writing his drum parts and the way he performed on this album is a huge step in the right direction, a huge change within the drumming aspect of this album, as it's more involved with the songs, and there's a lot more drum fills and a lot more of aliveness in a sense. There's a lot more of energy, and the tempo is a little bit more crazy, and he's doing things to kind of make these songs stand out more and making these sections and these guitar solos and everything stand out more and basically enhancing songs, because he's not just keeping beat, he's doing his own style and really, like I said, enhancing these sections to where you're enjoying these sections more because he's not just keeping a beat. And that's not a thing against Clive Burr. Clive Burr's drumming style was great, but Nicko has a different approach about how he's going to incorporate himself into the song. Rather than keeping beat, he's going to do a little bit more of, playing around on the drum kit, in a sense. The guitar work for this album is, for me, varied, but not in the sense of like, it's good and then there's some bad. It's more of like, there's some great moments, some good moments, some okay, and some, for me, not so much. But that doesn't mean that this album is like a mixture of everything. I enjoy this album for the most part. There's, like I said, only one song that really I don't necessarily like, but for me, it's the least favorite of the songs you want to go with that. But there are some very high points. But like I said, the guitar work is what you'd expect from Iron Maiden. There are some clean guitar tones, some clean guitar bits that I really enjoyed. The melodies are once again top notch. The guitar solos is something especially special, I think, within this album, because the guitar solos are just more in your face. There's a lot more shred and all that, but on the counter, the flip of the coin, the other side of the coin, there's also a lot of melody guitar bits that kind of, you know, coexist with the shreddiness, so it's kind of balancing out this album in a sense, with a lot of shreddy guitar solo work, and then the melodies and a little bit of the actual melody guitar solos kind of balances it to where it's not 100% shred, not 100% melody. It's kind of a mixture of both, which is what you'd expect. The bass work is once again Steve Harris, so it's going to be loud, it's going to be in your face, and he's going to be doing some stuff the rest of the band is not doing, because that's what he does. Let's go through some of my favorite tracks and why I like them and all that, and we'll go through the actual band members and all that, and we'll talk a little bit more about the production and all that after I get through my track listing, which will not take that long. So my actual favorite tracks, and I'll get to the one song that I consider my least favorite, in a sense, with quotes, if that's how you want to call it. Where Eagles Dare, which is the first track, opens up this album. It's a good opener. You can see Nicko right off the bat doing a little drum fill to kind of open the song up. At first, I liked the song, but I'm starting to respect it and like it more as I listen to it. I personally would have picked The Trooper as being an opening for this album if I had to pick that, because I think The Trooper is a better fit for an opener, in my personal opinion. But Where Eagles Dare gets the job done, so I'll give them that. Revelations, which there's a writing credit from Bruce Dickinson on here. Revelations, track number 2. There is one particular riff that they do repeat a couple of times within the song that I personally don't enjoy, and it's the riff that goes dun 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 dun, and it just does that, like, just dun 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 dun. It's simple, I get it, but it's too simple for me. I'll bear with it, because the rest of the song has some pretty good parts, and Bruce Dickinson does a great job with that song. But just that riff, it's too simple. It's just too simple. They could have spiced it up a bit. Flight of Icarus, that's a very, very cool track. I didn't expect that, because some of the song names on this album are pretty interesting, but Flight of Icarus is a great short track with only clocking at 3 minutes and 51 seconds, so I like the vocal work on that one, and the drumming work is pretty good as well. Die With Your Boots On, interesting title. I looked it up because I never heard that expression before, and I get it now. It's, you know, dying while you're fighting, or dying in war, something like that. But I enjoy the if you're gonna die, if you're gonna die, if you're gonna die, the chant back with the rest of the band, I'm assuming, is doing that. So that was pretty cool. Quest for Fire is a pretty good song. I like the title for that, and it's a song that kind of stands out a little bit on this album. So Quest for Fire is definitely a recommendation. Sun and Steel is the song that I don't really like that much, and I think it's just because of the little bit of everything. The riffing, the riffing is pretty good in some areas, but I think it's just the overall, I don't know, it's just the lyrical content for me is kind of in some spots. I don't know what it is. The Sun and Steel for me, I just preferably just would rather skip the song and just go to something else. To Tame a Land is a perfect song to end this album. It is the longest song on the album, clocking in at 7 minutes and 27 seconds. And it is a beautiful song in some areas. It is a very heavy song. There's a lot of great guitar melodies within the song, which is expected because it's the final track, the big bang, if you want to call it that, the final closer. So they're going to go out with a song that stands out. And it really is. To me, To Tame a Land is especially written, I think, to close the album, because it's written in a album closer type of way, where it starts off, you know, kind of melodic, and then there's some heaviness. The solos are crazy, the drumming is going all over the place, the bass is going insane, Bruce is, you know, singing to high heavens and whatever, and just the whole entire band is just enjoying it. So there is that. So anyways, the production on this album is what you'd expect from Iron Maiden. It sounds pretty good. I have no complaints with the production, as I can hear every little bits and pieces that's going on within this album. So there's no issues there, and we'll talk about the actual, you know, guitar, bass, drum, and vocal performance within the actual band members themselves, so you get a kind of an idea of where all that's at. But it's Iron Maiden, so if you've heard their past stuff, you've heard their more recent stuff, you can kind of already have an idea of what this album is going to sound like before you actually hear it, if you haven't already, which if you haven't, go check it out. It's Iron Maiden, come on. So here we go. Lead vocals, Bruce Dickinson, of course. Once again, his second time within Iron Maiden, and he's doing another fantastic job here. A lot of great high notes, some great lyrical content that he's singing, not speaking. He's singing to us, so got to give him props there. It's Bruce Dickinson. What do you expect? And he sounds great on this album once again, and he really does a lot of great stuff, and he's a high praise for me within this album, so got to give him that. Dave Murray and Adrian Smith on guitar. Like I was saying, the riffing is great in a lot of areas. There's some riffs I'm not really too fond of, but I will manage and deal with that. Really the higher points are definitely the solo work. There's a lot of great solos on this album that it feels like they put a lot more time into the solos and the actual guitar melodies in some areas, I personally believe, because there's a lot of just shredding, like just a lot of shred that I'm going like, man, they must have really like figured out like what's the right way to kind of start this solo. We're going to shred, but we can, take it to another level. We don't have to do like a typical shredding thing. We can just do something a little bit more extreme. So I feel like that's kind of the direction they went, because the guitar solos surprised me a little bit for the first couple times, and the melodies are what you'd expect. They're catchy, and you want to repeat them and listen to them again, and you're just listening to the band just kind of harmonize on themselves. So props to the guitars. Sound great. I love it. I love the sound of the guitars always. Steve Harris on bass. What do you expect? It's loud. It's in your face. It's Steve Harris. He's going to go crazy, do what he wants to do, and so there you go. There's a lot of highlights for him. He's doing a lot of great things, and of course it's going to happen. So if you're if you're a fan of Steve Harris and you love bass, this is another album once again for you to enjoy, because he's doing what he does best, and that is play great bass. His bass sounds great. Everything's great. Nicko McBrain, finally, and then we'll be done with this review. Nicko McBrain, and my final thoughts, of course. Nicko McBrain, of course, like I was saying within this review, that his drumming style is is way more involved within the songs, and ever since this album, I've been reading that ever since this album on, his involvement is really helping progress the band and all that. So I'm excited to see what happens. But within Peace of Mind, he is doing a fantastic job, a great job. He is really doing a lot of great drum work here, and I can't wait to see what he does next. His drums sound heavy, and a lot of the times he's doing a lot of drum fills and kind of helping transition into sections, and he's doing a great job within Iron Maiden, so I'm excited to see on songs that I have no idea about from Iron Maiden, which is a lot of them at this point now going forward. I'm excited to see what his playing style is going to bring to the table within these songs in the upcoming albums. So that is it, guys. Peace of Mind. I'm gonna have to give this album I'm gonna give it a 8 out of 10, and it kind of varies between 7.75 out of 10, but I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10 for right now. It is a good album. I enjoy it, but originally I had those thoughts, and that was stupid of me, but it is what it is. So Peace of Mind. That is my review, guys. Thank you guys for watching. I'm Chainsaw. Thank you guys again. If you liked the video, like the video. If you want to see me or myself, click my name or subscribe to see more. Thank you guys for watching. See ya.